afternoon light stretches across the floorboards in a slow, golden yawn, tracing the grain of the wood with a deliberate, unhurried ease. It is a quiet tide of warmth that has no destination, moving only because the sun is executing its silent arc across an empty sky. Outside, the world exists in a state of soft suspension. The leaves of the ancient maple tree in the yard do not rustle, they merely rest against the heavy, warm air, suspended in a green stillness that feels as though it has lasted for centuries and could easily last for centuries more. There is no wind to challenge them, no sudden breeze to disturb the equilibrium of the day. Everything has settled into a profound, comfortable weight, a perfect balance where doing nothing is the only natural course of action. Inside, the silence is not a void, but a soft, textured presence. It is filled with the rhythmic, barely audible sigh of the house settling into its foundations, a low hum of existence that requires no effort and demands no attention. A single dust mote, caught in a stray beam of light, floats in midair, drifting neither upward nor downward, but hanging in a state of weightless grace. Time here does not march forward with the sharp, insistent tick of a clock. Instead, it pools and eddies like water in a calm, forgotten bay. The seconds do not drop like weights. They dissolve into one another, losing their edges until the afternoon becomes one continuous, unbroken exhale. On the windowsill, a glass of water sits undisturbed. Over hours, microscopic bubbles form along its inner curve, rising so slowly to the surface that their movement is imperceptible to anything but the deepest patience. The water reflects the shifting hue of the sky, turning from a bright, transparent blue to a deeper, more mellow amber as the hours pool around the base of the glass. There is a profound peace in this lack of motion, a realization that the world can sustain itself perfectly well without the friction of human endeavor. The air feels thick and sweet, carrying the faint, earthy scent of sun-baked soil and dry grass from the open window, a scent that has lingered unchanged since midday. As the sun dips lower, the shadows in the room begin their long, lazy migration. They creep out from beneath the armchair and the bookshelf, stretching across the rug like cool, dark fingers. They do not rush. They expand with the glacial pace of a glacier melting in reverse, swallowing the bright patches of light with a gentle, inevitable embrace. A cat might sleep through this entire transition, curled into a tight, soft crescent on the rug, its flank rising and falling in a slow, rhythmic cadence that matches the pulse of the room. The cat's breath is the only clock that matters now, a soft, repetitive indicator that life is continuing to happen in the most effortless way possible. Beyond the window, the horizon softens. The sharp lines of the distant hills begin to blur into the hazy gradient of the approaching twilight. The sky transitions from a brilliant, blinding blue into a soft, washed-out violet, with faint streaks of pale peach bleeding into the edges where the sun has slipped below the earth. is no sudden burst of color, no dramatic sunset to demand an audience. It is a gradual fading, a mutual agreement between light and dark to trade places without any fuss or fanfare. The day does not end with a crash. It simply thins out, becoming more transparent until it reveals the quiet evening beneath. A lone bird crosses the sky, its wings locked in a steady, effortless glide. It does not flap or change direction. It merely rides the invisible currents of the cooling air, a dark silhouette against the deepening purple, until it disappears past the frame of the window. Its passage leaves no trace, alters nothing, and breaks no silence. It is just another brief, beautiful detail in a landscape defined by its lack of details. The world feels immense in these moments, stretched out and hollowed of all its urgency, leaving only the vast, cool space of existence. Inside the room, the cool air of dusk begins to replace the heavy warmth of the afternoon. It flows over the windowsill in a gentle, almost imperceptible wave, carrying the freshness of the coming night. The corners of the room grow dim, swallowing the familiar shapes of books, frames, and furniture, until they become soft, dark masses against the walls. The transition from day to night is so seamless that it is impossible to pin down the exact moment when the light truly left. One moment the room was golden, and the next it is blue, and the change has happened without a single sound or a single event to mark the boundary. The world outside settles deeper into its blankets of shadow. The crickets have not yet begun their nightly chorus, and the birds have finished their final, sleepy twitters in the branches. There is a brief, sacred interim where the earth is completely quiet, caught between the breath of the day and the sigh of the night. In this space, the mind empties itself of thoughts, aligning its rhythm with the slow, steady cooling of the air and the lengthening of the shadows. There are no lists to check, no expectations to meet, and no memories to chase. There is only the cool, dark present, stretching out toward an infinite, peaceful horizon. As the first stars begin to prick through the velvety dark of the eastern sky, they appear not with a flash, but as faint, silver pinpoints that grow steadier as the darkness deepens. They have always been there, hidden by the glare of the sun, and their return is the ultimate expression of a world that moves in perfect, silent cycles. The room is now completely dark, illuminated only by the faint, ambient glow of the starlight and the distant, soft blue of the sky. The air is still, the house is still, and time has finally ceased to feel like a river flowing toward a destination. Instead, it feels like an ocean, vast and unmoving, cradling everything in a deep, unbreakable quiet that knows no beginning and no end.